I'm John Clifton, and I've got to tell you, I'm very frustrated, even angry in a way, about something I've learned in the past couple of years about treating cancer. You know, when you come across something that should be widely known, something that's clearly been demonstrated to be highly effective, tested and proven, and could be helping many, many cancer patients, and then you realize that it's not well known, you feel like you could scream. Well, instead of screaming, I wrote a book. It's called Your Fourth Choice, Killing Cancer Cells with Pawpaw, that little-known treatment that grows on trees. You're probably wondering what the heck is pawpaw. Well, join the club. That's why I've written the book, to try to spread the word to people and to try to convince them that cancer can be fought in a different way, that even those who have been told otherwise could have plenty of life left if they would just start to think a little differently. Which in turn leads to doing something different. And the something has to be not just grasping at straws, but something that has a track record, something that's been proven to work. This book is the most important book I've written. I feel very strongly about fighting cancer with knowledge. And I feel very gratified to know that sharing what I have learned has helped others. I'm really too old now to try to make a financial killing with a best-selling book and all that. If a book made me $1 million, I'm not sure what difference that would make at this stage. On the other hand, I'd be happy to sell 1 million copies if it meant that the word would get out, that people would know what I have learned about cancer from a patient's point of view. There's plenty already written from the doctor's perspective. Well, what I can offer is loads of personal research and more than my share of personal experience and my independence. I have no financial interest whatsoever in any health products or health providers. My immediate family situation over the years has been just my wife, myself, and our dog. And all three of us have had cancer. And among the three of us, there have been 6 separate cases, 6 instances of cancer. So you bet I'm more than familiar with the subject. My first book was co-authored with my wife, José Clarens. It was about our dog Sparky, who contracted lymphoma, a cancer of the blood, when he was 6 years old. They gave him possibly 1 year. But we researched everything that's out there about canine lymphoma, and Sparky lived to be 14 and a half. That book led to my second book, which was about pet vaccinations. It was published in 2007, and it's still the most popular book on the topic. Writing and running a little publishing company seems to be my main thing at this point. I started out as a commercial artist and painter, only to become a musician and composer, a music department chair, and then a computer teacher. I'm a patented inventor, a pianist, a piano accompanist, a book designer. I've worn many hats. My mind has always been thirsty for new ideas, exploring new information, and I think over the years I've put it to pretty good use. Cancer was never a specialty, just another thing that I wanted to know everything about. Then I got prostate cancer in 1997. After researching all the possible options, I chose radioactive seed implantation. It worked. José had been operated on for lung cancer in 1983. The operation was successful, but the recovery was long and painful. In those days, they had to break ribs to get to the lungs. About 10 years ago, she had a brush with breast cancer and had a lumpectomy. Then, in the fall of 2012, José was diagnosed with uterine cancer. She was scheduled for a hysterectomy. In the course of clearing her for surgery, they found another, completely separate cancer in both her lungs. It was Christmas Eve when we got the news. Stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. It was absolutely devastating to both of us. I finally got up the courage to look up the survival rates for stage 4 lung cancer. When I saw it, I broke into tears. She was given the standard chemotherapy, but what she was not given was any promise of success. But I wasn't about to sit back and let standard medicine assume the role of be-all and end-all. That was just not me. I started to research other avenues. I looked at everything. I filled up 2 big fat ring binders with information about all sorts of stuff. For each item, I located whatever research might have been done, what the major cancer hospitals and independent organizations had to say. One of the items was something called graviola. It's a tropical fruit that actually attacks cancer cells. So I went on social media and asked if anyone had any experience with this graviola. One person said, yes, graviola was good, but there's another tree, pawpaw, that's even better. Pawpaw, were they kidding? Such a funny name. Hard to take seriously. Long story short, I did exhaustive research on pawpaw, and I couldn't believe what I found. It had been studied for 30 years. There were scientific tests done, laboratory tests, animal studies, clinical studies by prestigious universities on human cancer patients. There it was, abundant evidence that this stuff worked, and it's available, inexpensive, and doesn't have any serious side effects. My wife took pawpaw concurrently with her conventional treatments. After 3 months, the oncologist reported that the primary tumor had shrunk dramatically, and the metastases in her other lung just weren't there anymore. The uterine cancer simply was gone. The chemo, as well as some targeted radiation, resumed, but were terminated due to severe side effects. By the end of the year, however, José was cancer-free. Pretty amazing. Chemotherapy often leaves behind cells that are resistant to further drugs. Then the cancer comes back. Pawpaw can kill those resistant cells, as well as fighting cancer cells all by itself. I explain all this in the book. In this book, I simply report what doctors and scientists have demonstrated, and I make it simple and understandable for everyone. It's all factual. I haven't made anything up or made any exaggerations or wild claims. It's not colored with emotions, and it's not a pep talk. It's what's there. I fully expect to be asked, well, if this stuff is so good, how come we never heard of it before? My answer is, why have you heard about standard treatments? Because they've been advertised. And they've been advertised because they've been patented. But you can't patent something that grows on trees. There's just no big money in it, and big pharma is just not interested. My hope is that this book fills that void. A miracle cure? Well, yes, sometimes, when you consider that pawpaw can make the deciding difference. Cancer requires information beyond standard medicine. Beyond chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, pawpaw is indeed your fourth choice.